In a dramatic turn of events, Mexico has achieved what many deemed impossible, forcing the Trump administration to back down from its threatened tariffs. At the center of this diplomatic triumph stands Claudia Shin Bal, whose masterful negotiation tactics have protected Mexico's economy and ignited national pride. This is a victory for diplomatic reasoning over confrontational politics, says economic analyst Robert Martinez. What we're seeing here is a new era in U.S.-Mexico relations. The stakes couldn't have been higher. With over 80% of Mexican exports destined for U.S. markets, Trump's proposed tariffs threaten to devastate Mexico's economy. But rather than buckle under pressure, Shin Bal executed a carefully calibrated response that's now being studied worldwide. Speaking to supporters in Mexico City's Zocalo Square, Shin Bal declared, "Mexico is a great country, and Mexicans are brave and resilient. We cannot and will not surrender our sovereignty to foreign pressures." What made this victory remarkable was Shin Bal's strategic approach. Unlike the heated exchanges between Trump and Trudeau, she maintained a measured tone while preparing robust countermeasures. This dual-track strategy proved decisive. Shin Bal's approach reminds me of how leaders like Margaret Thatcher handled international crises, says Dr. Sarah Thompson. It's a masterclass in combining strength with strategic patience. The implications extend beyond trade relations. This success has transformed Shin Bal into a symbol of Mexican resilience. Crowds in Mexico City waved national flags while chanting "Mexico First," a direct response to Trump's America First rhetoric. Sources suggest this may be just the opening chapter in a new era of U.S.-Mexico relations. With Shin Bal's popularity soaring, speculation grows about her potential presidential aspirations. For now, Mexico celebrates a victory that proves diplomatic skill, and national unity can prevail against even the most formidable challenges. Stay tuned for more as this story develops. Trade tensions simmer. Mexico's Shin Bal navigates diplomatic waters with U.S. In response to trade pressures, Mexican leader Claudia Shin Bal has shown restraint in handling tariff threats from the Trump administration, marking a new era of Mexican diplomatic strategy. Shin Bal announced postponing countermeasures against the United States until after a planned Sunday rally. This approach yielded results, with Trump agreeing to delay tariffs under the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement until April 2nd. Respectful dialogue has proven effective, Shin Bal told crowds at what she called a festival. She maintained a firm stance, suggesting Mexico could diversify trade partnerships. "We have options beyond our northern borders," she stated, indicating potential outreach to Canada and other partners. The stakes are high given Mexico's economic ties with the U.S. With 75% of Mexican exports going to American markets, totaling $558 billion last year against $334 billion in imports, the trade balance favors Mexico. The auto industry is crucial. Trump's administration granted a one-month exemption from 25% tariffs to automakers, relieving Mexico, where vehicles and parts make up 27% of U.S.-bound exports. Shin Bal, who took office in October, maintains high approval ratings of 80–85%. Her popularity comes from her progressive, science-oriented leadership and success as Mexico City's mayor. Analysts view her as a potential presidential contender. When Trump threatened a 25% tariff on Mexican auto parts in early 2025, Shin Bal responded strategically. She united manufacturers across Mexican states and prepared retaliation targeting U.S.-dependent sectors, including avocados, tomatoes, beer, and steel products. The tariff discussions have created uncertainty in both nations' markets, with U.S. media calling it a confusing mess. As April's deadline approaches, observers watch to see whether this diplomatic engagement will lead to a sustainable agreement or escalate into a trade conflict. In a remarkable display of diplomatic prowess, Mexican politician Claudia Shin Bal has emerged as a national hero after successfully negotiating the postponement of U.S. tariffs, marking a significant shift in U.S.-Mexico relations and potentially setting the stage for her future presidential aspirations. The White House's announcement of postponing tariffs has been celebrated as a victory for Mexican sovereignty, with Shin Bal declaring, "We defended our national pride, we didn't cave in, and we got results." This success has transformed public anxiety into national unity. Behind the scenes, Shin Bal's team orchestrated a diplomatic campaign, engaging with U.S. corporations, Congress members, and farming lobbies. They effectively highlighted how tariffs would impact U.S. consumers through higher prices and disrupt the automotive supply chain. The Trump administration faced a dilemma. While wanting to appear tough on trade, they couldn't ignore the economic realities. Mexico's strategic retaliation list targeted U.S. agricultural sectors in key states like Texas and California, where Trump's support base could suffer losses. Shin Bal, though not the federal president but a prominent figure in the ruling Morena party and Mexico City's leadership, worked closely with President López Obrador's administration. Her measured approach earned her widespread acclaim in Mexican media. The immediate impact has been substantial. Mexican producers in avocado, tomato, automotive, and steel sectors avoided potential disasters. Supply chains remain intact, and export operations continue uninterrupted. While questions remain about future tariff threats, Shin Bal's response has set a precedent. If they try again, we will stop them again. This diplomatic victory has significantly boosted Shin Bal's political profile, with analysts suggesting she could be a strong contender in the 2026 presidential elections. Her handling of this crisis demonstrated leadership qualities that resonated with the Mexican public. In a developing story highlighting tensions between the United States and Mexico, President Trump's recent tariff delay has created confusion in both nations' business communities. Washington sources reveal a divided White House, with advisors making conflicting statements about these trade measures. Claudia Shin Bal, Mexico's rising diplomatic star, has emerged as a key figure in this international dispute. Her negotiations have postponed the tariff threat and exposed divisions within the Trump administration's trade policy. The business community is caught in a difficult position, says analyst Robert Martinez. Companies can't make long-term decisions when policy can change with a tweet. Trump's agricultural base shows frustration. Farmers worry their crops could become unsellable in their largest foreign market. Congressional rhetoric has turned against tariffs, with Republican senators calling them economically destructive. This diplomatic victory for Mexico might be temporary. As the 2024 election approaches, immigration remains contentious. Trump's base, disappointed by the postponement, demands stronger border action. Shin Bal has maintained a firm stance. We're prepared for any scenario, she stated. Mexico will protect its economic interests while maintaining dignity. Core issues persist. Trump's border wall and immigration concerns strain relations. Mexico's approach to Central American migrants contrasts with Trump's policies. The situation has boosted Shin Bal's popularity. Her image as a leader who successfully stood up to U.S. pressure while protecting Mexico's interests resonates with voters. Despite critics calling her approach populist, her handling of trade and immigration has earned widespread support. The USMCA provides a framework for trade relations, but both sides acknowledge political tensions could flare up any time. In a dramatic shift in U.S.-Mexico relations, recent developments suggest we're entering a new phase of diplomatic brinkmanship. Claudia Shin Bal has made Mexico's position clear. Any future tariff threats will be met with immediate retaliation. We will respond in kind, without hesitation, states Shin Bal, signaling a more assertive Mexican stance as the U.S. approaches another election cycle. With 25% tariffs looming over Mexican exports, Shin Bal's administration has prepared a comprehensive list of retaliatory measures. This strategic preparation marks a departure from previous diplomatic approaches, though business leaders on both sides express concerns about potential escalation. Shin Bal's rising domestic popularity could make her a formidable presidential candidate in 2026. Her tough but measured approach to U.S. relations has resonated with Mexican voters, who appreciate her defense of national interests while maintaining diplomatic channels. The stakes are high for both nations. A trade war would disrupt crucial supply chains affecting manufacturing and agricultural products. American consumers rely on Mexican imports, while Mexican exporters depend on U.S. markets for economic survival. Shin Bal's diplomatic strategy has proven effective, creating a narrative that suggests tariff impositions ultimately backfire. She's successfully balancing assertiveness and pragmatism, maintaining Mexico's dignity while avoiding unnecessary escalation. Key questions remain. Will we see another round of U.S.-Mexico tensions? Can Shin Bal maintain her balanced approach? How will Trump navigate these issues during campaign season? The Mexican public celebrates Shin Bal's diplomatic victory in postponing Trump's tariffs, but this respite may be temporary. As one senior analyst noted, the fire is far from extinguished. The complex dance between these neighboring nations continues, with economic interdependence serving as both a buffer against conflict and leverage for both sides. Stay tuned as we monitor these developments. The U.S.-Mexico relations remain critical for regional stability and economic prosperity.